violence. I kill you.
I kill you.
I love Ahmed the terrorist. That's his best figure.
Hey, remember that time we couldn't remember the time we tried remembering? Remember?
This is where the fun is. This is where you need to go. Where we talk about films and help you get to know. So stick around for Tom and Gerry here on Pop Culture Minefield. And help you get to know, so stick around for Tom and Gerry here on Pop Culture Minefield. Stick around for Tom and Gerry here on Pop Culture Minefield. Tom and Gerry here on Pop Culture Minefield.
I don't approve of this message.
Tom does not approve of this message.
Tom and Gerry has been filmed in front of a live studio audience.
I like that.
Yeah, there needs to be a boo for me though. Boo.
No, just
like one person. Boo.
Don't applaud the joke because it's so funny. Gerry is the joke and nobody's reacting.
Hold on. Right. Okay. When you do that, you're stopping Anima from finishing her sentence. So. Because I found out that according to some people who watch our streams after we've strammed them, the past tense of stream is stram. Write that one down, Martin. It's a new word I made up. So if you're talking over somebody, the person who starts talking mutes out the other person. They can't hear a lot of the conversation going on. And they said this about Minute's Edge too, by the way.
That sucks.
This is just something that was relayed to me just this last week.
Is that something new that Premiere is doing?
Mephisto is one of them who mentioned it. So, but welcome to another Saturday. We're going to be talking about Chateau's Vampire. It stars Udo Kier, John Malkovich, and Willem Dafoe, as well as Eddie Izzard and a plethora of other actors that are worth mentioning. Eddie Izzard, back when he was still cool. I can't stand that cocksucker.
And a man.
And a man.
What?
Anima doesn't know what we're talking about, Tom.
Oh, Eddie was
Izzard's
cool
now a chick.
In My Super Girlfriend. I like him there.
I still find him fucking hilarious when he's doing just comedy. Because he did two great stand-up routines that were on HBO, I think, or Showtime, and they were great. And he's going Craig Ferguson all the time. In fact, he won a drunk bender on Craig Ferguson's show. It's like throwing furniture, and then Craig got up and started throwing furniture with him live on the show. Great.
It's now Susie Izzard. Get it right, I guess.
Are you serious?
I am. I'm dead fucking serious.
Oh my God.
He always referred to himself as a cross-dresser. He was a heterosexual who still liked women, but now
I'm sharing an image.
Say that
Cross-dressing is one thing.
He's claiming to be a lesbian, which is
honestly, I don't know.
That's insulting to lesbians to do that.
Yeah.
It's like Men can be better lesbians than women.
He is trans now. It's not even a joke.
That's pathetic.
He's
I'm
trans.
Yeah, I'm sharing an image.
If you're keeping your wiener. Oh, I'm not seeing it. Where's it at? Martin?
Here it is. Holy shit, my eyes.
Yeah, I'm not kidding.
Ugh.
I wasn't kidding.
Ouch.
So he got the boobs.
Yeah, I was not kidding. Like, I wasn't even remotely joking. Like,
Oh, I didn't think you were, Tom.
no,
I didn't think you were. I believed you. I
They
just
He
can
got
still
the
be
boobs.
fake, though.
He got the boobs.
They can be fake.
I don't want to see his bobs.
I'm going to
No,
tell you,
nobody
Slasher
does.
Fred, the two things he did, I don't think it was a half hour. I think they were hour shows. Were really good, and they were back in the 90s and early 2000s. So, I'm sorry to say this, but fuck Eddie Izzard. So, I'm going to caffeinate up. So, hold on. My new caffeine cup.
yeah.
Caffee cup. My new caffee cup.
Oh,
Yes, I
man.
saw that you're out and about, Penny. I hope you're having a good day with the kid. Let's see who else is here right now. We got Emmanuel from Paris or France.
Yes.
Uh,
That sounds like a
And
good
her-
movie.
Her
And
husband.
that's her husband. Yeah, Regis.
Yes. And we
And,
have Slasher Fred.
He has asked us, Tom, to do the Burbs.
Okay,
What do you think of that?
sure.
You like that film?
It's probably Dante's third or fourth best movie.
I think so too.
Maybe his fifth.
Joe
It's one
Dante.
of his most popular video sellers. I know that.
Yeah, because it tanked in the theater, but boy, it
I don't think it tanked, but it did really, really well on cable and video. Yeah.
yeah, cable and video on demand.
I mean,
still,
obviously
they-
his biggest financial
money.
success was Gremlins.
yeah.
And then I think it was The Burbs, followed by Inner Space and The Howling, I think, or flip-flop those two, something like that.
I like Joe Dante's movies. I like them. I liked Inner Space too. When I got my daughter lost her mind watching that movie for the first time.
I know
think
that was one that was a
Love
bit
it.
disappointing at the box office, but did very well on video and cable. Inner Space
So,
was.
This film that we're doing today, Shadow of the Vampire.
Nobody has
is-
seen. That's the funny part to segue into that. Yeah, like, so I'd be surprised if half of our audience has even seen this movie because it kind of came and went. It actually, surprisingly, Steven had reminded me that it did get a few Oscar nominations, one of which it deserved to win, being, Willem Dafoe, who just literally chews the scenery in this movie and the actors. So, yeah, I feel like this
There's
was a
so
movie
much
that was,
overacting in this that it's just part of the film. It just becomes part of it. Malkovich overacts like in almost every scene.
Well, and it's a great movie. I mean, we'll get into it as we get along here, but I think, like, my point is, though, it just didn't do very well at the box office. I don't feel like it got even much notice considering the Oscar nods it got. I think it's in some kind of rights limbo between, it's a Lionsgate film, but Universal released it in the US. So I
Was it
have
a
no idea what
marketing problem back then.
it could have been a marketing issue. I have no idea. I just know it just didn't do all that well. But I remember when go ahead.
Did it get a wide release? I remember
think so.
it being at like some indie theaters in LA when I was down there.
I don't know if it just got flooded out of the market because you got to remember this movie came out in the beginning of DVD coming to the fold. So I'm sure the movie made some money on DVD after the fact, but I just don't know how many people really discovered it because it was just one of those movies that kind of came and went. And most people forget about it until you bring it up. And even, unless somebody's seen it, then they're just like, I have no idea what you're talking about. But, it kind of fell under the curse of having vampire in the title as well, which is another thing we might get into a little bit here. Cause that was a big point
How
in
is
the
that
film.
worse?
like
For some reason,
what do you mean?
in Hollywood, traditionally, anytime vampire is in the title of a movie, it has done poorly.
Huh.
Like Interview with the Vampire.
It is the only exception to the rules at this point. Like otherwise, like even like John Carpenter's Vampires flopped. You know, it's just for some reason
Which is
just
one
kind
of my
a
least
taboo.
favorite films by him.
Up until like Interview with a Vampire was like the first time you had a movie in a while or ever that did well with vampire in the title for some reason. It just was kind of one of those Hollywood taboos. Just like you're not supposed to end a title with a question mark, which is why Who Framed Roger Rabbit doesn't have a question mark at the end.
Okay.
It's just this stupid thing in Hollywood that they get really superstitious about. And it's just like, oh, you can't do that. No movie ever with this has ever done well. You know, like they just have this thing. It's like, how the fuck do you know? But at the end of the day, I don't think that had anything to do with it. I think you guys are right between the marketing factor, being it was a Lionsgate movie that Universal picked up for US distribution. It probably didn't get a bunch of money put behind it. It might not have got very wide release. Like, I just remember when it came out on video, I was really pushing it because I'm like, people should see this movie. And I was glad to see it got nominated at the time, but I had totally forgotten that it did until Steven brought it up. But yeah.
Yeah, and the thing that shocked me when I got it, it was on I think it was DVD is when I got it. Yeah, because
I got the old original DVD.
And I rented it first. I saw it at Blockbuster. And I'm like, what is this? And, you know, like you, my head is in the newspapers, always looking for new movies. And I found out that it never came to our area. It was limited release theatrically. And it pissed me off because I would have gone to see this movie in a theater if I'd known about it. It's sort of like that Rutger Hauer film Split Second with its limited release, because I absolutely would have gone to see it in the theater if it had come to a theater near me. But or like Pee Wee Herman in a theater near me. Oh, Wendy. So, because I'm a fan of everybody in this film. I got to work with Udo Kier with the Nazis on the Moon movie that I did the graphic novel for, and I'm just a big fan of his since I was a kid. I remember
Iron Sky.
getting to watch Iron Sky, getting to watch his Frankenstein with Andy Warhol and Dracula. It's like, oh crap, because I had a big brother, you know, and so I would get to go to the drive-in theater, and that's where those movies really played in our hometown.
Yeah, so looking at it here. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
I was just saying, looking at it here, it only got a really limited release. That's why.
Yeah. Never heard of it. I didn't see anything really about it until there was an article, I think, in Fangoria about it, regarding the makeup and stuff, the effects, you know, everything, you know, because it's very limited in what it did. It's an independent film.
It's kind of a comedy horror when you think about it.
It's absolutely darkly funny. It is.
Yeah, it isn't so much of a, I mean, it is kind of a horror film, but it has such a satirical sense of humor about it that, I mean, it's got some belly laughs in the bitch. I mean, you've got a clip that you're going to probably
this
play
is one right here. Yeah,
one of the best.
I'm going to go play this clip right now. Mostly because I thought it was funny because deleted scenes came in with his just met the script girl.
Why him, you monster? Why not the script girl? The script girl. I'll eat her later. No.
No, you won't. None. You will get no close-ups whatsoever. Zero
close-up. I fucking love the fact that he's pissed at him because he drained the fucking cinematographer, the person he needed to shoot the fucking movie.
Well, we kind of haven't really set up what this movie is for those who don't even know what it is. I mean, I'm sure there's at least a handful of people in the audience who may have never heard of this movie. So we should probably kind of give the basic idea of what it is before we dive too far.
Absolutely. And by the way, War Monkey is here and Connie Cleary has dropped in. So it's good to see you guys.
And Andy Morrow has just
our normal crew. Oddly, our biggest audience is on Twitter. And a majority of our views are from Twitter. I don't know about you guys on Midnight Says, but we get a crap load of views over the next week on YouTube. But the initial viewing of the show is mostly people on Twitter, just like, hey, there's something on, let's go watch it. Oh, it's a bunch of assholes talking about movies. And that should be the name of the film or the show. Bunch of assholes
and anima.
And anima. Assholes and anima, AAA.
Yeah. So the movie is basically a loose interpretation of
fictionalized telling.
Okay, so there was this before the internet, kids. We all had, and they still. It's almost weird because the internet made them worse in a weird way.
Contains anti-wrinkle cream.
Oops, sorry. Somebody hasn't deleted these, so I'm trying to delete all these videos.
No worries. Even though like this movie came out when the internet was a thing, there still was like this permeating culture among us film geeks where we had certain kind of theories and such. You know, like I said, it's almost gotten worse with the internet than it was before. But basically, one of the ongoing theories with this film, especially since you didn't have, you know, the internet for the longest time, and even when we did at that point, it still wasn't. You can just access information so readily. It was really difficult to prove that Max Schreck was even a real person. So there was this ongoing kind of rumor, conspiracy, fan theory, whatever you want to call it, that this guy was really a vampire, and they hired him. And so this movie kind of runs with that. Now, there's a little bit more to it, and we do have a retrospective coming out with our, a movie coming out and all that stuff that I've kind of soft announced through here that we haven't officially announced yet. And we're learning more and more deeply that there might be some more truth to this than we thought, because as you may or may not know, as we'll get into this, Murnau and a lot of the people involved with this movie had some cult connections, heavy cult connections. In fact, the producer himself may or may not have met a vampire at one point, or claims to have. And that was kind of the impetus for him to do this film, less so Dracula, but more so that. And some of the things that supposedly that quote unquote vampire told him were put into Nosferatu. And those would be the things that are different than Dracula as far as like the rules for vampires. And there's a scene that plays out in this film when we get to it later, I'll point it out, where some of those rules may have come from in the first place. So again, I'm not saying that this guy was really a vampire. He may have really believed he was a vampire. But this got, I think Abel is the name of the producer or whatever. I think if I'm remembering the name right. But either way, the whole idea was, okay, so with this movie, it was like, what if during the making of Nosferatu, Max Schreck was a vampire and the director had made this deal with this guy to star in this movie, and that's kind of the basis for the movie, and it's just it plays out in this hilariously horrifying way that you would expect it to, and they do such an amazing job in casting the film, recreating the scenes from Nosferatu, recreating some of the actual things about the people, the lives, and the movie itself, mixed with a lot of fiction, as we were pointing out before. But
yeah, and the producer, I'm looking it up right now. The producer was
yes,
Abengrau. That's who it was. Yes, thank you.
He wasn't a cultist,
which is who Udo Kier is supposed to be playing in the film.
Yes.
And oddly, the interesting thing is a lot of people don't know is that F.W. Murnau was a flaming homosexual.
Yeah, and there's a scene in here that really makes me wonder about him and the lead actor. When we get to that one, I'll point it out too.
Eddie Izzard, yeah. Because
get this, here's the thing, guys. You got to understand that Eddie Izzard, the guy that he's playing, wasn't exactly like the best or most well-known German actor at the time. He was like, if anything, like your fifth or sixth choice.
So, Gustav von Wangenheim.
Well, nobody was well known at the time. Shrek was a stage actor, and
No, but that was the thing is he could have gotten for the money that was spent on this movie, he could have gotten an actual German movie star. Was the point
yeah.
that some of these things
And
were making? Yeah,
and the same with the
So-
girl. She wasn't very famous at the time. This movie
the
portrays
actress
her-
who played Ellen, I think, was the most famous person in the film, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah,
No, she wasn't that famous. Really.
she was the most probably. Was my point though? If anybody was.
the most, yes.
That's my point. Yeah, like she's barely famous, but like yeah. She was famous enough that supposedly the Max Schreck character had heard of her in this movie was the whole point. That's kind of the motivation for his character, but yeah.
Yeah, because she had been in several silent films, including the classic horror film The Golem.
And I think she
which
was
is
also rumored to be lesbian as well.
well, it tends to, because a lot of the people that he would meet was in the
These freaky parties and shit, yeah.
parties as
Before
well
Diddy
as going
parties, there was Marno parties. No,
they talk about cabarets in Germany,
right.
and they made the film Cabaret, and it is based on those places because they were the gay hangouts.
Well, the
for
great part about this movie
gay
is
men and
unlike a
women.
modern film, like if they made this now, it would be all about that shit. We
it's
literally
all they
get
would
like
focus on.
one scene that kind of gives you the idea that, okay, this guy's into some freaky shit, right? Like he goes to this like
Yeah,
establishment, it's like a club or whatever you want to call it, where he's like clearly, getting it on with some, well, not totally getting it on, but just spending some time with a prostitute of some sort. And then you also have the Eddie Izzard line, and you clearly have at least a few of the members that are presented in a way that are questionable as far as their sexuality, but they don't make it like a point of the film. It's not a
intrusive.
big deal.
it's just
Right. It's not
who
intrusive
these
to the
are
film
people are.
itself. Yeah.
right. And hey, Soul Assassin dropped in. What's up, buddy?
Cabarets weren't just gay hangouts. There were places where you could just be free. Like whatever was going on outside the world,
Yeah.
forget it.
Well, that's the point. Is
In a
they felt
cabaret, you
safe
could
there.
just do
They felt
you could just
safe
do
there.
whatever you wanted. Yeah.
Yeah. But I do want to say hi. Mike is here. What's up,
Hey,
Mikey?
Mike,
And then, of course, my good friend Jacob
you
the
should
Critic,
be on the
who's
panel.
here in Springfield area. And
But yeah,
of
here's
course,
Max.
what?
I was just gonna say, here's Max Schreck without the makeup, but yeah.
Yeah, that's Max without the makeup. He was a stage actor. He's an odd dude. And here's the thing: I always thought he selected the name Max Schreck
No, it wasn't.
because,
No.
again, for a long time we didn't have a lot of information. But that is, you guys are correcting me when I know the fucking actual history, right? Before I've even gotten to it, you're like, oh, no. It's like
because we know
I
shit too.
that is premature ejaculation of words.
You're not the
um,
professor here. We know stuff too.
So, Max was
Yeah, this all
actually
happened
named
in Anima's neck of the woods, didn't
Maximilian
it?
Schreck. His middle name is Max. I forget what his first name is, but his name is actually Max Schreck. And I'm like,
And it
that's
turns out
fucking
he's Christopher
amazing.
Walken, and we never knew
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. It's like, I
Oh
wish
my
I could do a Chris Walken voice. I
The
can't
funny
do it.
thing, though, from somebody who speaks German, Schreck doesn't mean horror or anything. It basically translates to spook.
Yes.
Wait,
Okay, well that's close
Or
enough.
startle
if I,
someone.
if I
It's not
may,
terrifying or anything, but it's still cool.
if I may, using the power of the interwebs, I have found that his first name is in fact Maximilian, and well, you're the German-speaking anime, so I have to believe you more than
His name
the things
is
that I read.
Friedrich
Is terror.
Friedrich Gustav Maximilian Schreck.
Friedrich
God
Gustav Maximilian Schreck. Yeah.
IMDb lied to me again. Well, but I have heard. I'm not sure. You're the one who speaks German, but don't Shrek means terror?
No, I just said that. Schreck
She
means
just explained
spook.
that's not. It means spook.
Yeah, it's a very mild form of.
It's like a,
It's like-
ooh, oh my.
Yeah. There's also a verb to that. Jemanden erschrecken. That means to startle someone, or spook someone. It's nothing really horrifying or terrifying. It's just like
Still works.
if you walk up behind a person and say "boo," that's Schreck.
And of course, when
Yay.
Americans or English speaking people hear the name Shrek, it makes you think of the word shriek.
Yeah, or the cartoon person Shrek from the movie.
Well, that
Well,
was
now.
I'm talking about before. I'm talking back then.
Yeah.
The
Oh, yeah.
word Shrek would sound like shriek to us. So either way it goes, he was a real person. But in this movie, it's based off of all those theories that existed. That because I heard him back in high school that he wasn't a
Yeah.
real person; he was an actual vampire. I remember those rumors going around.
I mean, it's even one that respectable people kind of went with. And I mean, they would run with the idea that this guy believed he was a vampire or whatever. But like, yeah, that was kind of what it was. But
the one thing I did know, he is in what's Dr. Caligari's.
Yeah, he's been in other films. That's the thing that's funny. But he was so unrecognizable in that film, and hardly any of the other films that he's in exists still. So that also doesn't help. And
Because
then
of the makeup they did for this film, in particular with what they did with his head and with the ears. And
And
the
the neck.
string of hair.
the
nose
neck and
too.
shoulders. That was
Yeah.
awesome. By the way, we
They-
have our first bridge. Here,
Okay.
it's black and
Well,
sea
thank you,
backward.
awesome one, for extending some fun into
Oh,
it. But
And that
I
was
do want to.
special language.
Well, and I mean, the movie has basically one main theme running throughout it, and it is who is the bigger monster, the vampire or the director?
or the director, right?
The real monster or the man, right?
they're
Like
pretty
that's
equal.
yeah, that's kind of the basic concept of the film overall, and it works. It works like gangbusters. It's a nice, tight 90-some minute film, not even that long, and it gives
nice
you
and
the
tight.
basic outline of the movie. In a weird way, it's almost kind of like a weird comedy remake of Nosferatu, but like in a tongue-in-cheek kind of way, I guess is the best way to look at it.
Well, it's such a fun thing to do, to do a fictionalized telling of how a movie was made. And then show actually some of the things that were done to make the film, how they lit it, how they did a lot of stuff, saved money.
Well, and it was
And
a very
seriously, though, for
ambitious
the budget-
project for them back in the day too. That was what I was saying. It was really a high budget. Like, you guys got to think about it. This was like a Disney movie level, like Avengers type level budget type movie back in the day, almost for them.
Which makes you wonder where the money went.
Well, we saw where the money went. That was the other thing is Marno didn't shoot a lot of it in any kind of studio. This part here is like some of the only bits we see him in the studio, and that's it.
They went abroad. Yeah.
They went
Germany,
every fucking place. Yeah.
And of course, I want to point out that this is one of the first films to use the blue filter on a camera for night, because they couldn't shoot at night. So they had to shoot all the night scenes during the day. And they discovered that putting a blue filter over the camera with black and white film gave that. And then they would later, in post, add a blue tint for night scenes and add an amber, what do you call it? Amber lens, or
It's pretty much
what I'm
green,
looking for?
yellow. It's sepia tone-ish.
Yeah, sepia
Yes.
tone.
But now it's basically like yellow, pink, and green.
And for those
nowadays,
of
but
you
yeah.
who went to film school like I did, I learned during film school that during the noir era, the way that they shot black and white to get those fantastic shadows was they would put a yellow filter over the camera, the lens, and it really heightens the contrast between light and shadow. And
I noticed
one of the last great directors to use that was Orson Welles.
When they did night scenes, all the crew behind the cameras was wearing these goggles. Did that have something?
I didn't understand that. Was that from the magnesium lights they were using? What was that?
I'm not sure. I think they all wore them back in the day, maybe for something to do with that. I'm not sure.
I'm
They're
thinking
not
it
wearing
has
it all
to
the
be,
time, just for certain themes. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
because they would actually, because that's where the word comes from, striking.
Well,
when
yeah,
you
because
have
I
to
mean,
strike light.
no, like these cameras were like, I mean, because you're right, like there was no shooting at night, right? Like it just wasn't. There's no way. In these kind of like conditions, they had to shoot these movies in. Like you're either shooting on a sound stage like this, or you're shooting in broad fucking daylight. because these cameras were really temperamental on what they could capture. Yet we're years and years and years away from even cameras that are self-powered on their own at this point. So
Right.
like it's
And they were
it's
still
kind of
they were hand cranked, or they were
Exactly.
cranked with a watch. You would wind it
these
up.
are still hand
It would
cranked
wind
here.
down.
Yeah.
In fact, my
Um,
first real movie camera was a 16 millimeter I bought from the local NBC affiliate up in DC. And it was a hand cranked 16 millimeter.
In fact, Francis Ford Coppola used one of the similar cameras to this from this era to shoot all the crank footage for that one shot in Dracula,
Yep.
where that just shows all the people walking through the streets, and then it's cues in on Dracula.
And it makes it look so uneven, and I love that he did that. I really do.
Yeah.
Speaking of him,
And it's
just
cool if
real
you
quick,
watch the making of that. He kind of gives you a quick breakdown of how these guys used to do it, and he's like, you
all in
basically just
camera.
gotta. He goes, you gotta basically sing a waltz in your head, because you gotta
Yeah.
keep it at a steady pace, or it's gonna. He goes, I want you to
1,
do a
2,
little bit of
3,
variation.
1, 2,
Yeah, he's like, I
3,
want you to
1.
do a little bit of a variation just because we want to show it off. But he's like, that's he's running through the camera guys how to do this, because none of these guys had ever seen one of these cameras before, and they're shooting on modern stock. But yeah,
The hand crank, Gerry would know.
yeah, he would.
But these film, that was used in what was that movie called? The silent movie that was made back in the 2010s.
Which one?
The Artist.
They're-
The
I
Artist.
say they all were. Oh, you mean the more
They
recent?
used
one? Oh.
they used the film stock and cameras from the silent era for that. But I do want to point out too that at the point that this was made in the 20s, they were starting to work. This is early days of the lights, because the way films were lit before this, where the sound stages were open top, so they would shoot during the daytime and daylight would light, and they would use white.
Well, and this is an exception for a lot of the German expressionist films of the time too, in that Marno did shoot out of the studio, because normally you would just make like a, like for and Anima can pick up on this if she wants to, being from there, but like you look at like you brought up Caligari earlier and such like that, like some of the more famous ones we know, even Metropolis and other ones, where it's built into the set, like the art expression of the.
Well,
whole deal.
this was
shot like a
era.
documentary, right? Like they actually went to the castles. They actually, went to all these places, and some of these places
real
still
location.
exist and are built there today. They're still there. Like you can still go to the street and the archway where he walks, where Knock runs through downtown, and
Well,
where.
I think
Go ahead.
studios to film in weren't a big thing back then. They would just go to the location, because there's so many locations. Like, it's not like the US. You have everything in a very close range. You don't have to go far.
Well, I
There's
want
lots
to
of
point out
things.
though that Murnau was part of the expressionist period of film.
Well, that's
And
what I was getting
he
at. Is a
shot
lot of
on
that was
sets
shot on.
a lot.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Yeah.
Yeah. And in fact, one of the few American expressionist films is the Son of Frankenstein. I don't know if you've ever watched that. And it follows the
No,
same.
but all those. Well, yeah, I have, and all the Universal horror films are shot similarly too, in that
Yeah.
sense. Like they're all in.
Well, Son of Frankenstein in particular, a lot of the sets and the way they struck them, lit them, are meant to give you that Caligari feel. And you see that in this film, because like the one set they had was the bedroom set, and those buildings outside are clearly not fucking real.
Oh yeah, you
You know-
can tell in this movie when it's a set and when it's not. There's only like the 2 times in the entire movie that it's really a set, because otherwise most of the times, maybe the sanitarium, but otherwise you can tell they're real buildings or real castles or real locations, and where they went to shoot all this stuff, they went all over the fucking place. In fact,
Yeah.
like the castle that they show at the end, the ruins, that was just something they came across when they were shooting the river sequence. And Marno just swung the camera around and just shot like a couple of seconds of this castle, and he's like, "We'll use it at the end of the movie." Like, he just kind of was seeing stuff and just throwing it in, and it just has this very realistic kind of feeling compared to a lot of the films of that era, in a way. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it, because even like you were talking about all the Universal horror films, they were all shot on sets, to the point where even when Coppola
The
did.
exteriors were a lot of the time, especially night shots. And by the way, I don't mean to interrupt you. I want you to continue, but I want to put an asterisk on it, because a lot of the times the sets were used because at the period they couldn't light outdoors at night,
Right.
and they were able to do night scenes.
You can only do day
indoors better.
for night if you were lucky, and that looked like shit.
Yeah, and
still
so
does.
like Wolfman, the Wolfman, a lot of the exteriors when it's night scenes, in fact, almost all of the exteriors that take place at night are on the soundstage.
Well,
And,
for
and
various
it's for
reasons.
that
That's.
reason.
I was just saying that's why Coppola decided to do his Dracula on mostly sound stages too,
And it has a great feel to it.
It helps pay homage to it all at the same time, but
Absolutely.
he also like has a lot of inspiration from Nosferatu as well. So that's what I love about that film, the 92 movie, is kind of this perfect marriage between the two of the old Universal Dracula mixed with Nosferatu, mixed with his own personal twist by bringing in the Vlad the Impaler to it and all that kind of stuff. And
yeah, that was the one thing he added, and I thought it's why Bram Stoker's Dracula is my favorite version of the Dracula story.
But clearly, the old man Dracula is definitely Nosferatu. I mean, he even has him rising out of the coffin, right? Like, I mean, it in the shadows. I mean, come on, that's obviously a play on, Nosferatu and all that kind of stuff. I mean, there was a lot of stuff in it that was pulled right out of it. But yeah, anyway.
So I'm going to get into the legal aspects, because you and I have talked about this a lot when we're just talking.
Well, there's kind of debate on how it was all supposed to go down, because Marneau and team never really planned on necessarily making Dracula 1-for-1 anyway. That was the whole point I was getting at before, because they were already planning on bringing some new stuff to the table. But yeah, they didn't pay for the fucking rights, because they didn't, and the rights for the book were actually all messed up all over the place.
The money she was asking for, the money she was asking for was too much. And I'm not sure, was Bram still alive at this point? But I know his wife is the big litigious one.
No, because that's what happened is honestly, during his lifetime, Dracula didn't do squat. It was just another one of his books that kind of came and went, and nobody really paid all that much attention to it. But over time, it gained more and more momentum, and so by this time period, it was one of the more popular of his books, and he'd already passed.
Yeah, and Dracula,
she being damn near broke because he didn't make a lot of money when he was alive. This was one of the biggest sellers, so yeah, she was looking to sell the rights, and I think she'd already made a little bit of money off the play version, which is what in turn Universal ended up doing, basically.
And Bela Lugosi got his start playing Dracula on stage, but a lot of people aren't aware that there was another version of Dracula done silent era, and it didn't do well. It wasn't until Bela Lugosi's performance, and I think it was genius to release Dracula on Valentine's Day. And it was on the poster, the strangest love story ever told.
Well, that was kind of the first time you actually kind of attached this love story to Dracula, because that's what makes Nosferatu in some ways, up until the 1970 Christopher Lee Count Dracula movie, which is not a Hammer film. It's a completely different one. It's where he came back, but yeah, it's its own adaptation of the book. Up until that movie, Nosferatu is probably the more faithful adaptation of Dracula, simply because of how much they changed in the play version, which in turn was the Universal version, which informs so many of the versions going forward. Nosferatu, on the other hand, pretty much plays out close to the book, except for, the obvious, the ending. It's the guys go in and kill Dracula or whatever. But in this,
I do want to put a highlight, because you brought up a great film.
Yeah, that it's not a love story, though, is what I was getting at. But yeah.
That version of Dracula with Christopher Lee was actually not produced by an English company. It wasn't Hammer. And people get it confused.
Italian, yeah.
It's Italian. And it's actually, yes, it is. It's a retelling of Dracula that tries to stay close. It's been a debate
close.
For years.
There's some deviations, but compared to the other ones prior to that,
it is listed.
Yeah,
it's listed on because I've talked to Kermode about this a long time ago, back in 2000, 2001, what were the best Draculas, and I listed the BBC Dracula, that Dracula.
I was saying until
number
that
one
one,
for me was the 92 Bram Stoker's Dracula is still number one. It's still number one in my book. But the BBC Dracula, I'm not talking about the new piece of shit that came out. But
No,
the
no,
older
I know
one.
the one you're talking about, 1977, and that's the one considered by
Yeah.
most fans as the most faithful to the book. Yeah,
It's the most faithful to the book, but I do consider Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, really close. It comes in a second, but I consider it better as far as filmmaking goes. It's a
it
better
really
film.
nails all of the various versions and retellings we've had, and kind of, like I said, encapsulates them all into one. If anything, it's more of a hybrid of Nosferatu and the Universal Dracula mixed with just little bits and pieces of other things. And I mean, a lot of people gave that movie a lot of shit at the time it came out, but people don't stop and realize and look back on it and how that movie changed how people looked at vampires. Because before that,
Yeah.
it was the blah, blah, Nosferatu kind
In
of
fact,
shit.
they twisted it and brought us.
That was the first time you had a
sparkly
sexy vampire. And I think it was because of that movie that Interview with a Vampire did so well. Because then people were like willing to accept, oh, sexy vampires. You got Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt, two of the sexiest men on the planet, playing these vampires. Now, women got into that shit.
That are really, clearly latently gay.
Well, but it was that bad boy, dark,
Right,
gothy thing that girls
And I
were
like
drawn
that movie,
to.
by the way. Did
and
you like it?
Interview with a Vampire? It's all right. Yeah, it's fine.
I liked it.
But I
can't remember.
just don't think people realize now, until looking back on it, that like, yeah, Bram Stoker was the first time we had this sexy, long-haired, you know, where it was literally one of his costumes, you know, because he has 6 different changes in that whole movie. You know, it's like, which one is the real Dracula? We'll never know, because he has different forms that he takes all the time. The wolf, the bat, the old man, the decrepit old man, the young one, the original version when he was a man, you know, and all that shit. So like, yeah, the Mist, the bat.
Who was the actor that got replaced, by the way? I've forgotten. That Christian Slater replaced.
Oh, that was
River Phoenix.
River Phoenix, yes. Is that who you said? Yeah.
Because he died.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember why he got replaced, and that explains it.
It was right before. Yeah, he got the part just before he died, and then yeah.
But I still like the film. I do. I really do.
I don't think he started shooting it all, did he, Steven? I don't think he did.
No, I don't.
I
think he did.
don't. I don't believe so. No.
So, but here's Eddie Izzard again. I want to point this. That's Eddie Izzard there, playing. What's his name? Gup. I forget the character's name.
Gustav.
And no, Hutter. That's his name, Hutter.
Well, Hutter Thomas Hutter in the movie, yeah, but Gustav.
Yeah,
is
that's what I'm talking about. The character's
yeah.
name. He's playing that part. But yeah, he's playing the actor. I get what he
Eddie
did.
playing Gustav playing Hutter.
Yeah.
Gustav is the vampire's favorite. He keeps snacking on him, and Gustav keeps passing out.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we can see already, like the first day they were there was something wrong with the cinematographer. He was the first one. It's like The Thing. Who was the first person infected? Right. And he is clearly, when they show that quick cut, when you see not Udo, but Malkovich walking through, quickly walks past him, and he's looking at the camera all fucked up looking. And you just go by him real quick, like nothing. And it's really noticeable there's something wrong with him. And it's like, oh, he's already been fed on at this point.
No. If you notice in most of the Dracula's interpretation, there are always somebody who is psychically affected before being touched.
Right.
And in this case was this guy.
Do you think that's what's going on here? Because I thought maybe during the night he'd gotten bitten.
No. Well, he got beaten at night. Yes, he got beaten in his bedroom.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
But he has that he has an uneasement since they arrived at day. He got there and he's all trembling and shit.
Yeah, because this plays with the other vampire rules, like the rules that Dracula made up as far as like the stuff that goes on there. This has nothing to do with that stuff and more to do with the rules that Albin had gotten from that one dude, and that is the daylight thing, because this is the first place that daylight was introduced to being a thing that can kill a vampire. Because in Dracula walks around in the daytime.
Yeah, he does.
Problem.
He wears sunglasses, special lenses.
Yeah, but
because
he
has
still
an
can walk
aversion
around.
to daylight.
Yeah,
he can
but
still
it doesn't
move around.
bother him. And in this Nosferatu, he knows that's the only thing that can kill him. So like that's kind of the whole point of that thing. And then you also have like that, you know, they even ask him, and that's one of the scenes I was referring to earlier, where like, how many people have you turned into vampires? And he's like, I'm too old, and I don't think I ever had the power to turn anybody into a vampire. So
I
like,
think
yeah, so that's the other thing
vampires
too.
have a way of fishing, quote unquote, because they do something mentally to people to not attract but bind them.
Well, the
to them,
hypnosis,
so they
right?
can't,
The
they can't
hypnosis.
get away.
By the way, there is something I think that is in this film that's been discussed historically with vampires, is because water, especially like spring water and such, is considered clean, and they are supposedly not able to cross running water. But there are scenes in the film where he's supposed to go on a river or some shit.
No, on a
And
boat
on that
across the
ship.
sea.
I don't know if it's the sea, because he's going to Germany. He's already in Europe, so why would you go on the sea?
I think it's the Black Sea that he has to cross.
Well, either way it goes,
but
I was wondering if that's why he didn't want to go on the water in this film, because
Maybe.
they are an aversion to clean water, like not just holy water, but like running water. They're not supposed to be able to cross running water, because running water is supposed to be clean. And the only time I ever saw an inference to that in any of the vampire films was the second Christopher Lee film, Dracula, Prince of Darkness, with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing as Van
I
Helsing.
think this is about
I have to rewatch it.
losing ground beneath their feet, because vampires have traveled in their coffins on boats, like even from Europe to America, but they put soil in their coffins.
Yes. In fact, in Nosferatu, he's transported on a raft on a river, but he is inside his coffin with dirt.
Protected by the earth.
They need their own soil with them. They can't leave. So their country, but if the soil from their country is with them, they can go wherever.
So they can go. You think that with that old belief that they could travel over moving water if they were protected.
See, and I think that's part of where maybe some of the debate comes into this film here, because he even says that I don't even know if I can be killed. And in that scene, I think it is technically daylight, but he doesn't like daylight. But when he's away from home, he's weaker, I think is kind of the point. And going along with what Anna was saying about, like, you know, being in your own soil. Because that's the thing, is this Nosferatu, in the real life one, he doesn't want to go any fucking place. He wants them to bring everything to him.
Yeah, well,
right?
He's very old-fashioned, stuck up, and go do stuff for me. That's his
There's that aspect too of him. You're right, because he talks about, you know, servants. He's like, I feel so sorry for this vampire. He has no servants.
He's
I like Stolen Assassin here. So many rules. What's the point of being a vampire?
No, he's like, I'm so old. I've been this for so long. I don't care.
Yeah, he doesn't even remember things. And that's what I also love about it too, is he's like, I've been alive for so long, I just forgot shit.
Yeah.
Basically, in so many words, just like.
And in many ways, that's why this is, in my opinion, such a superior vampire film. Because it
makes him believable, and it makes the whole idea believable, right? Like the curse of a vampire would be like you're living alone all this time, and you're just like, you don't die, and after time your brain probably just, you know, it starts to work like a normal brain. You just start forgetting shit because of habit, right? You make other habits and other things go away. You forget, you know, a ton of shit. Like, just think about it. A normal person only living 80 to 100 years, you're doing that times 4, 5, 6, right? And I mean, he even talks about, you know, how because in this movie, I love they give him that same speech basically that Dracula has about, you know, the blood of Attila the Hun runs through these veins, and I used to, you know, be the leader of armies and all that kind of shit, you know, and now here I am just deteriorated to being this fucking, you know, monkey for years, performing monkey, you know.
However,
I got to tell you again, Gary Oldman fucking owned that role as Dracula. And it's one of the greatest, if not the greatest, performances Dracula. I think even better than Bela Lugosi.
On that note, Gary, He also has one of the best director fights ever. Have you seen the video with him in the Dracula outfit arguing with Coppola?
Yes.
It's
Yes.
fucking great.
What's funny is I understand where Gerry is coming from, and I will side on Gerry with that argument if you watch the video. Because what he is saying is Coppola's like, just come around the corner and do the line. And he's like, I can't just come around the corner and do the line. I need to know when I need to start the line because I know it going back and forth with Keanu, and I don't have Keanu here. So you need to give me a point where I need to know where I start saying that line. And Francis is all like, it doesn't fucking matter. Just say he's just, they're arguing. And I'm like, I understand where, like, from an acting point where he's coming from. You need to give him in the shot where he's coming around from there, Francis. That is technically
where his eyes.
That is a failure on Francis's part in that fight. The one time I will give it to Gerry on that, even if, no matter how drunk Gerry was, because he was.
I just love the way he says Keanu.
Well, you fucking, and then I love. Well, there's the other problem with that whole argument is you listen to it and he's trying to blame Keanu for not being there and a bunch of other shit around it, trying not to blame Francis at the same time, while clearly he just needs to go, Francis, you need to show me where so I know when.
Yeah. It's
almost as bad as the argument between fucking Kubrick and Duvall when he's just like, just open the fucking door, walk across the scene. That's all I need you to do. You got 20 of us standing out here freezing our balls off, Shelley. Just do the scene.
Yeah.
She's like, but I can't hear you. When am I supposed to come out? And it's like, no, you just do it. Just count to 5 and come out. And she just won't. She's just arguing with him. Like that one, I'm siding with Kubrick. I'm like, that poor man.
Yeah. So, hey, I wanted to share this with you because I made this a long time ago and I thought everybody would appreciate on this day. And of course, drop that. Thank you. Count Dracula, atheist vampire.
I love it.
What about a Jewish vampire?
Yeah, I know. But you thought I was going to come in and suck your blood?
No, that's not kosher. What's this, a cross?
You Meshuggah?
Meshuggah,
You dumb coof, that don't work on me.
So we're talking about the show right now, the film Shadow the Vampire, starring John Malkovich, Willem Dafoe, Udo Kier, Eddie Izzard, and a bunch of other
It's probably funnier than Dracula Dead and Loving It, actually, as far as the
I think it is. I don't like Dracula Dead and Loving It.
It's okay, but it's like one of Mel Brooks' lesser films.
The reason why is because once he stopped working with really good writers and was focusing on him writing, his stuff
basically
is funny.
Peter McNichols makes that movie. If it wasn't for him, there wouldn't be a movie.
Peter McNichols made the Mr. Bean movie funny.
Well, he's missed as Renfield is just perfect.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, how could you? That was the only reason to make that movie, if anything. Because look, I love Leslie Nielsen, but what the hell are you doing making him play Dracula? Like, if anything, he should be Van Helsing.
Van Helsing, yeah.
Yeah, and you get somebody else to play Dracula. Like,
you know, what would have been funny is to get Frank Langella to do it.
Somebody like that. Exactly. You actually get Christopher Lee or somebody. That's the point, right? Like, that's what makes it. I agree with you. Mel forgot how to make those kind of movies and how to make them work. Right. He forgot that he was the guy.
The actor doesn't know it's a comedy.
Well, not just that. He forgot that he was the guy that sat and had lunch with John Wayne and asked him to be in Blazing Saddles. Right. Like, and you got the reason why you're asking John Wayne to be in Blazing Saddles. That's why you sit down and you get Christopher Lee or whoever to play Dracula, and you get everybody around them to be fucking funny. That's the point.
By the way,
despite it not doing well, the Dracula film that was made back around 1980, 1979, with the same actor, Hamilton.
Once Bitten, or not Once Bitten.
Once Bitten.
No, that's the one with Jim Carrey. Yeah. It's the one with
which is good, by the way. I like that movie.
Love at First Bite. Thank you.
Bite. I like that movie. I really did. I thought it was a good campy.
It's another fun one. So was Once Bitten.
But by the way,
Lauren Hutton as a vampire was great, and of course, connection to Blazing Saddles.
Well, and it also plays with the idea, and this is what I was getting at too earlier about this whole idea of vampire taking the switch from being a warning about the plague and VD to be this romanticized
Sexy.
thing. And it almost happened on accident. And maybe we'll have to do Bram Stoker's Dracula to talk more about that, because we got to talk more about this movie again. We're going to get back into this because
Yes.
yeah.
And
Real
by the way,
quick.
even though it's not October 1st yet, we are launching Halloween today. This is
Because we haven't
our
even brought
official
up that
launch.
Nicolas Cage is the producer of this film.
Oh my God, yeah, because we got in a discussion about that the other night with Nadia and Greg, that Nicolas Cage has been a producer on a lot of stuff, and he was a producer on this film. That's right.
And it's because he loved and he knew he wanted not Malkovich, but
Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe to play
Dafoe.
the vampire for the longest time. He said, when this project came about, I knew exactly who to put up for it, because I'd seen, Willem was just great in this play I saw him, and I'm like, this guy's got to play Nosferatu at some point, and I worked with him, and then of course I worked with John, and this whole thing come around, and I'm like, this is the perfect project for these two guys, and it was just, inspired, and it is, because these two together, and like I said, it's this beautiful marriage of who's the bigger monster here. Really, at the end of the day, is it the guy who's literally sucking people's blood and killing people, or is it the guy who's allowing it to happen, who basically is the facilitator of this? So it's like there's a lot you could kind of read into this story, and it's just this great and it all leads up to that final scene, right, that we get to at the very, very ending. But it's just a great fucking flick.
I had
I
a
do
feeling
have a
where the
clip.
ending was going.
I do have a little clip real quick if you could. It's only like 16 seconds.
It's going to get us in trouble in any way.
No, it's
Is there boobs?
no.
Could we put boobs in it?
Yo soy Jacinto el Grande. Toma. Si serás imbécil, Jacinto. Todos mis antepasados son judíos. Pues mira lo que tengo. ¡Ay, Hitler!
Oh shit! Dolly! Oh man! Bravo!
I love
Bravo!
Fuck you, I'm Jewish. Awesome.
That kicks the shit out of Blackula.
Holy shit.
I want the Jewish man. Like, I want a remake of that now.
And you know what's funny about that movie is I looked at it thinking, this is lit like a porn.
Hey, we've been rated by
This is one of the funny
Mephisto.
parts too. He's just, where she starts giving him makeup, and he goes, "No makeup," and then he's like, "I would like some makeup."
I like
No
some
makeup.
no makeup.
Yeah.
That's so great.
You're not getting
Because that
it.
happens several times in the film, and it's funny as shit every single time.
Well,
But
see,
also, he becomes obsessed over this fucking trinket because of her photo on there. And it has nothing to
Well,
do with a
that's-
past love.
no,
It's
that's
just
his reward. You do this movie, you get.
he knows that this is the actress that he's going to get the
Yeah.
feed on when the movie's over.
Well, and that's kind of what feeds into kind of what we were going back and forth a little bit about earlier about how she's probably the most famous person in the movie. That's why this works, because she's barely famous, right? So like if she and half these people go missing, nobody's gonna really fucking notice. Like,
Well, she was the
so
main
yeah, he's
female
willing to
character
sacrifice
in
his lead
Gollum,
actress. No, I
which
know,
was
but
the
I
Jewish
mean,
Frankenstein.
yeah, it's just the point though. It like kind of just feeds into that whole idea to be punny, that he's willing to sacrifice his lead actress, which goes along with the movie. And this is where I was saying it was kind of a weird remake of the movie, because in the movie itself, Ellen, sacrifices herself to save everybody from the plague of Nosferatu by giving in, to him and
To trick
distracting
him
him,
into staying too long.
staying too long. Yeah. Which always made me wonder why they threw in the steak thing at the end of this movie. I don't know if that was ever part of the original story or not, but I don't think it was.
No,
I think
it
they
wasn't.
just threw it in there.
Can we talk about his fingernails because they gross me out?
Please.
I'm sorry.
By the way, I couldn't find a clip of it when he rattles his fucking fingernails. It's so fucking awesome.
Ew.
And from what I heard, that was something he came up with on his own, and they liked it.
Did
Did-
make
did
any
you
kids,
notice-
Gerry?
Well, he went to Dolly Parton's manicurist, didn't he?
Oh,
Speaking of Dolly Parton,
And you know
I'm
why
not
he's so
making this
pale,
up,
right? Because nothing grows in shade.
I found out recently
Boobs.
Dolly Parton produced Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
What?
Yeah,
The show or the movie?
What?
I think both. She owns the rights. She's actually working on the reboot, apparently. Which I'm like, what?
Maybe maybe the production company she made or owns must have something to do. It's possible. Like you'd be surprised. Like every time you see Jersey Films, that's a company that Danny DeVito's part of. And Brad Pitt's company, I think, produced the more recent Beetlejuice movie, wasn't it? Something like that.
I love the way they do the black and white in this movie. It looks very close to what it did back then.
Well, I think they might have shot some of these shots with those old cameras. I'm not 100% sure or not.
It looks like.
Yeah, she was the EP on the TV series, not the film. I just looked it up.
And we missed the one part where I was saying where they were kind of implying that Marno may have at one point or still be sleeping with the lead actor. Because when he knows all this shit about Max Schreck, and everybody's like, even the producer's like, well, he never told me. It's like, well, he told me. Just the way he says it, it's like, was it some pillow talk or something? What the fuck? You know, like, why is he telling you and nobody else?
And for those of you that don't know, Udo Kier is also a notoriously very active flaming gay man.
Oh, you don't say.
You don't even need a gaydar.
He's got
I was gonna say, yeah.
reputation. He has a bad reputation with young gay actors. If you've ever read up on
He
it.
seems like that kind of a guy. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean,
very lecherous. He likes them young.
Oh God,
he
could you
seems
imagine
like that kind of a guy. Sorry.
Your body, it is so hot. Thanks, Udo.
You're such a very mean table.
Always love those nails.
Oh, I hate them. They're so gross. The thing that's funny is he sets himself up as this very weird actor that says like, yeah, okay, I'm going to star in your movie, but you're only going to meet me in character ever. And then on the set, filming a scene, he's like, I want some makeup. Of course, the director is like, you got enough. You're done. But those nails, ew, fuck, yeah. The dirt for them.
Going back.
Did you notice that he's clicking them when he's machinating some idea, but when he's got his conclusion, he just wraps them all together in a sound.
Those nails threw me off the entire movie. They're just whenever you see them,
it's such a great it's such a great thing to do. And it's eye-catching and it catches your ears first.
What was Steven saying?
What's amazing is when you just see the shadow of his hands with the nails, the fingers look just so eerily long. But when you see his hands in real light with the nails are just gross. The shadow works. The real thing, not so much.
So I'm going to put this up there, by the way. I put this in the top 10 favorite vampire films of all time. This is in my top 10 list.
We need to do a rating because we stopped doing ratings of the movies we discuss. We need to go back to that. We need to.
I like when he
do mine
about
on
the paper because he's like, "This is what is this? What is this? This isn't right." What were you saying before, Steven? You were going to say something.
Oh no! Well, I was going back to the fact that this is kind of a play on the making of Nosferatu. I also think that it's kind of like I was saying the other night, it's kind of a play on the making of the remake as well, because I'm seeing parallels between Schreck and Murnau here and between Klaus Kinski and Werner Herzog.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. I mean, did those two notoriously have butt heads a lot on the making of that? Or did
there was attempted
well, I mean, I know they always did
shoot him, wasn't he?
Well, on other films, but on that film, that was my question, because I know that was one of the films that he actually
They
made.
clashed.
They clashed
They
during that
clashed.
too. I was going to say because
Every film they worked on together, they would clash.
I know the
'cause
one. I don't think that was
first
the one
of
that he
all-
was going to kill him on, but yeah.
Now, Werner is a very sane man. He absolutely is. But he's a mad genius too. But Klaus Kinski is fucking deranged. He is absolutely out of his fucking mind. He's that smart, you know, that he left the ability to be rational. And he would lose his mind. If you've never seen the film, Werner Herzog's documentary, My Best Fiend, is an amazing documentary that shows the madness of that relationship. And absolutely some of the best performances of Kinski's life and career were working for Werner Herzog. But Werner damn near lost his mind too, like on Fitzcarraldo and I forgot the name of the film. Yeah, thank you. They were trying to murder each other, mostly because Werner was getting sick of his shit and considered shooting him or stabbing him.
Didn't one of them pull a knife on the other? I think it was Kinski at one
Well,
point.
gun was pulled by Kinski and he fired it, and I think somebody got wounded. Yeah, someone got wounded. He actually shot someone through a wall. He was a madman. He really was. So
Yeah.
absolutely, I agree with that assessment that this film kind of generates that same kind of strange, odd relationship that those two had. Good call, Tom.
Actually, that was Steven.
No, it wasn't. It was you.
Though, to quote Chris Rock with this, I don't agree with what he did, but I understand, because if you've ever directed a movie, the desire
Sam Kinison is
to
the one who
fucking
coined that
control everything.
back in the 80s. Kinison said, I'm not saying I understand spousal abuse, or he says, I'm not saying I support spousal abuse. I'm just saying I understand it.
Yep.
So there is, Stephen, there is some Werner Herzog in this guy. And there's definitely some Klaus Kinski in this Nosferatu. And it makes me wonder if maybe some of that was brought from the true stories of the shit that between Kinski and.
Well, I'm
and
sure
Werner.
that shit didn't help with the other stuff either, you know, as far as like the
Yeah.
amount of.
Kinski was a real monster with his daughter, which,
Yeah,
Oh.
if anybody's not read
was
that
creep.
story, her interview about that is enough to tell you why he was such a scumbag. Oh, what was that line about, Martin? Because it skipped over part of that dialogue.
Oh, which
Now
one?
I have mine. Where Murnau says,
You
now
have
I
your work
mine.
to do. Now I have mine, I think he said.
Now I have mine. That was it.
Have they
'Cause I
got
like that.
past? Okay, so they still got the cinematographer. Is that part happen yet?
Yeah, he's still alive at this point.
Oh,
yeah.
this is it. How dare you? How dare you destroy my costume?
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because he didn't kill him, but the guy was destroyed. In fact,
don't pretend you mourn. You die. I love that. He just like goes, you don't care about these people. You care about your fucking movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is one of the.
And I'm going to show
scenes
this
of the
clip
film
again,
here.
by the way. Yeah, I'm going to show this clip again.
Why him, you monster? Why not the script girl? The script girl. I'll eat her later. I'll eat her later. No.
You will not eat this. You will not touch anyone else on my movie.
Now, I got to tell you, it's when he says monster. He doesn't say monster. He doesn't say it with a hard R like I would expect somebody from German-speaking countries. He says monster. Anima, help me here. Is that correct or incorrect?
What?
I think
The
he's
way he
asking
says
how good
monster.
his German accent is.
I can only tell you the way I say it.
All right, say monster.
Monster.
See? R. He says it like a 3-year-old. Monster.
Yeah,
And it's
but then
weird.
I make it a point to speak English and not accents. So
Gary,
Yeah,
I
but
think
it's
it's
fun
the
when you do it.
friendly form
I mean,
of
hey,
monster,
hold on.
whereas the hard R version of monster.
Let me
You're
channel
both
my
talking.
inner Arnold.
You're both
because
talking.
Arnold would definitely say monster. So there you go.
There you go. That's a good. There you go.
A lot of people who don't care or don't have the ability to get their mind into speaking English and not from a German point.
Well, most
English.
people, when they do a German accent, what they're doing is doing an Englishman trying to do an English German accent, which is never very good.
What I encounter in my personal life is people who grew up speaking German. They try with English, but they don't speak English. They speak English with the German mindset, and they would definitely pronounce it differently.
See,
I
Andre's.
tried to get
I
my
love this.
beginning
I
in
paused
English.
here because I love this face right here.
Well, Anima didn't get to
I
finish.
love
her,
when he
what she's
smiles.
saying.
It's okay.
Well, I was just going to add that Andre does over enunciate everything too. I mean, he's Norwegian, but yeah.
Yeah, his German was really hammed up, which I kind of like, to be honest with you. Because
Andrew,
for you guys to know,
Andre
that's
can
even though
do
it's not
different
officially been announced yet, but there's this version of Nosferatu that some of my friends are involved with putting out, special edition. And one of those friends over enunciates his German, and I kind of thought that was cool. I liked it. I'm not saying it's real because it's not officially announced yet. I'm just saying, in my mind, Andre
wait,
over
hold on.
enunciates.
German?
He over enunciates his German, and I like it.
What?
Nothing. It's a fantasy I have. Shut up.
Fuck off. Really?
I did not see that coming.
You did see that coming from 2 kilometers. Hold on.
And you can
I'll tell you who
explain
saw
how
it
your
coming.
character gets to Bremen.
When will you
Well,
make that announcement
as
that there
long as
might
you-
be a new film?
I think we're going to do
you're
it
gonna
this
release?
week. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've been
All right.
soft announcing it for so long. It's like the world's worst kept secret.
I know we're so soft we're limp. Is it supposed
Oh
to be
my-
that soft?
No more softcore, only hardcore from here
Where's
on out.
Charmin soft?
Speak about yourself, Gerry.
I'm sorry, the Charmin soft. I like that one because it takes me back to Mr. Whipple. Those of us that grew up in the 70s and 80s remember Mr. Whipple. Don't squeeze the Charmin.
That's right.
Look at his face. I fucking love his acting in this.
Well, it's because he looks just, I mean, he's perfect. He doesn't even need that much makeup. He needs a
Now,
hell of a
right
lot
here-
less makeup.
Exactly. Right here, though, Tom. Johnny Cab.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
I've said to Anima, and she agreed with me. There are expressions that he makes. He looks like Johnny Cab. Malkovich.
That's because Malkovich is just weird.
I just
It's
know
weird.
something else because Helgoland is not spelled like it is in the subtitles. And yeah, that would be going on a boat from Germany to an island. That's what he refuses. Because he doesn't even consider going on a boat with soil from his country. He's too old fashioned. He's like, no.
That's what I mean. He's like very resistant to leave his stomping
immediate
ground.
area.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think that is a
However,
great point, Tom. The further that he is from his home, the
Wait,
weaker he
Because
gets.
as far as he knows, he's immortal. Nothing can kill him.
The thing
I
is,
have
the
a-
lore-
explains, which
Guys,
explains
guys.
the dropping of the concrete door.
the thing in their lore is they can't leave their country. And he just doesn't believe in packing soil in his coffin works. He's too old fashioned.
Yeah, I agree with
Wait.
that. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
We've seen it in many stories, in many movies, but he doesn't believe in it because he's too stuck up and too old fashioned. So he's like,
wait.
Yeah, I agree
have,
with that.
I
I
have
agree
a
with
different
that.
theory. Because
All
he
right.
in fact has soil inside his coffin. The writer of in the movie. He found that he shows it to other people. This is the earth in which he was interred.
Yes, but
Now,
this particular
no,
vampire
no,
doesn't
listen to me.
believe
Listen to me.
trouble.
Listen to me. About going to the island. Remember, the vampire has been manipulated the director to have basically a power trip. He's going to be immortalized in cinema. He wants his close-up shots. He wants to work with certain actors, and he wants to fly on a plane because he is the one that proposed with a smile or by air.
So he's basically trying to manipulate him.
Yeah, he's doing a bucket list. He's using the director to fulfill a bucket list.
That's really what it is. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Yeah, it's and the neat part with the movie, his immortality ends, but then his filmic immortality will continue on.
Well, I agree with more like, yeah, he's getting the diva fever.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you know, like go with the makeup thing and all that other shit is like, yeah, I'm only going by plane. Are you kidding me? I ain't going by boat. I could believe that too.
I want to take a coffin.
I mean, the whole, oh, that girl, I'll eat her later. That's the attitude. He owns
Even
everything.
when he says to Murnau, this is not your movie anymore. Well, no, this is hardly your picture anymore. Saying that this shit is mine.
Yeah.
I'm boss here.
I'm so much in it at this point, you have no choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's where they go into Fitzcarraldo territory, kind of metaphorically, as far as I'm concerned. We're there now. We're in
You're
wacky
talking about-
land.
Yeah. The relationship, yeah.
Yeah.
We have both gone to the Diddy party now.
And of course, you're doing a play on the word Didi, right?
Yeah.
Didi Mao.
What?
It's something that became popular during the Vietnam War with soldiers coming back, that they learned certain words for the Vietnamese, and it's actually from the French.
Oh, that mix up like Buku Dinky Dao.
Yeah, Buku Dinky
Yeah,
Dao.
I remembered that
Ye-
one. For dog.
Didi Mao.
What does that one mean?
Run
It's
away or something like
part
that.
of that same thing.
Mm. Okay.
Maybe it isn't his resting place. I love the plotting of the producers.
This is my other
We're
favorite
getting-
scene in the film here, where these two are hanging out and he just comes and hangs out with them and he fucking just catches a bat out of the fucking sky.
And
He's
just
answering all
starts
their
slurping
Oh my
it.
God,
He's-
yeah.
Like a fucking
It's
juice
almost-
box.
They all think he's joking or fucking with
like that.
serious.
Yeah, he does the thing with his tongue.
Yeah. They all think he's just messing with them, being in character. Ew, that was so gross.
But not the
What I
other
love is that
producer.
he takes a drink out of the booze and he gives it back to him, and all he does is just wipe it off or whatever. It's like, dude, he just drank fucking bat blood and bit his head off. Like, ugh.
Yeah. Ew.
But
Like rabies.
the other producer, the one with the glasses, absolutely believes he's a vampire at this point.
That's the writer. He's the one
writer?
who. Yeah, he's the one who starts saying that, hey, this guy is a real vampire.
What I love too is how nonchalant they act, because it's like that whole kind of, and maybe this is where I can kind of believe the whole, maybe he is divaing out a bit, and there is kind of this whole like movie making aspect to the movie of kind of like, you know, this over the topness to it in a sense, because
Right.
these guys don't act in a way like you normally would act about this, right? Like they just act like he's just a normal everyday weirdo they would meet.
No, yeah. The base tone is like he's a weirdo and he's in character all the time. So just don't let
Yeah.
it be.
Just let him go with it. Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, it was a little over the top, but
We
Jesus,
knew that. We knew that.
you gotta admire his
Yeah,
dedication.
Yeah.
Yes, I like
the
it when
character ever. That was announced
when-
at the beginning.
when
They
he
described
eats the
it.
bat. The producer look at him and says, "The German theater needs you."
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they have the exact opposite reaction a normal person would.
Who's
Like Gary and I'd be like, yeah, we gotta go. We'll see you later, Max. See ya. Take care, buddy.
Yeah,
What the fuck
I would
is
turn to you
up?
and say, "Hey, what's that thing we need to go do now? That thing you were
I don't
talking
know,
about
but we need
earlier?"
a cross. We need.
well, in their defense, they're both hammered.
Well, that too, but yeah, the whole point is though, like you said, he's like the German theater. It's because they're so admiring his dedication. 'Cause-
Commitment to the craft.
yeah,
That's a great angle of his face right there. Look at that.
Oh
Holy
yeah.
shit.
I love the light and the shadow on his face.
He does a lot the mannerisms too of Max Schreck in this really well. The hands sticking out.
and
when
the
he's
voice
walking.
is just great. I
The
mean, just-
mannerisms and the way they light him, so that half of his face is in the dark, in the shadow, and
this is where he opines about not having servants and all that shit.
Yeah, but it's not talking about Dracula being poor. It's about now he has to pretend for Harker a lot of things that he doesn't know how to do anymore, and the
Or never
servants
did. Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
but
Here it is. Then
And
how
that's
do
where I
you
was getting
become a
at this whole
vampire?
idea that, they were bringing to the table things about this guy that claimed to be a vampire to Albin and things that he changed about Dracula that even like listen to Anima, like she's talking about things like they still believe that shit over there the way she's talking. Right? Like,
Dude.
Well, there's that mixture, especially in Romania, where because
Right.
originally Dracula meant son of the dragon, Dracul, and which is brought up
sorry.
in the movie
Sorry,
in the
Gary.
movie Bram Stoker's Dracula.
she's gonna correct
And
you.
hold
now.
on,
Sorry.
in Bram Stoker's Dracula, they bring it up, and he says, the son of the dragon, the Dracul.
That was
But
the
now
original
in
meaning.
Romania, in the 20th century, sometime during the 20th century, Dracul has been changed to mean devil. So
They
if you go there
changed-
now, Dracul means, I know that. And
So they were
I'm
the original
explaining
woke
that
peoples?
they changed it. Originally, it meant dragon,
Son
and
of
they
the
changed
dragon.
it in the 20th century to the devil. So now,
Yeah.
Vlad the Impaler is kind of referred to as son of the devil,
Well,
but
he
that's a
was just-
modern thing.
He was brutal and cruel, and they needed
Well, he
something
was.
to.
But he
Yeah.
was also treated brutally, and that's where he got it from, was the way he was tortured.
But he
Yeah.
was a real person. I'm thinking mythology and history. Dracula. meant
You just
son
made a
of the
mistake,
dragon.
Zax. That's not what just happened. She thought she was, and I already knew the information. So, nah.
Yeah, but you got it upside down. So Dracula meant son of the dragon. And then
That's what I
they changed-
fucking said. That's
No, you
exactly
got
what I
it
fucking
wrong.
said.
No,
Oh my
you had it
fucking God,
upside-
correct
I
me,
love it when
correct
mom
me,
and dad
please.
fight.
You had it
Jesus
upside down.
fucking Christ.
You
You
had-
don't hear me because you're already
Whatever.
fucking doing this with me.
Whatever.
And you can't hear when I'm talking.
I'm gonna get some
I
popcorn.
said-
You guys want some?
Dracul
Oh,
was the
Yeah, grab
father.
me some.
Dracula was son of the dragon. I literally go back and fucking watch it. Christ almighty.
They're already fighting.
When did
They
you
ain't
two
even
get married?
That's what I was just thinking. I'm like, holy shit. Is this a preview?
It just bugs me when somebody corrects me when I said exactly what I said. They're trying to say and correct me, saying you should say it this way. And I'm like, no, that is exactly what I said. Martin does it too. He'll go, no, and then agree with what I just said.
Gary, you're wrong.
Both of you guys fucking drive me up a wall.
Shit.
So, son of the dragon.
what is this?
Son of the dragon is what I said.
Yeah, that'll be the next Game of Thrones series.
That will be my next insult. Son of a dragon.
I will turn this stream right around. You two.
Well,
it's
funny
do you need
because
to bring this up, Tom?
yeah, I will here. Actually, this is perfect timing for this because they never actually. I mean, this is kind of going back to what I was saying before. Was the vampire in Nosferatu was never really intended to be a 1-for-1 Dracula. And that's where I was saying, like, this person that Albin ran into that claimed to be a vampire and was telling him all this stuff. This person also claimed to be like 400 some years old, which is what basically a lot of the stuff that Willem Dafoe's character is claiming in the scene we were just seeing. And you kind of get a clue to what he's talking about in Nosferatu. And this is what I'm talking about.
Seed sprang the vampire.
So they're saying that, you know, basically that's where Nosferatu came from, is he sprang from the seed of Belial. And for those who don't, do you know who Belial is?
Yeah, it's another
connection with the devil. Yeah, so that's basically what this vampire is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be Dracula, right? It's supposed to be this. The original, old ass, been around forever. Like, this vampire doesn't even remember where he came from kind of thing, right? And whether it was he's just sprung from it, whether it means it came from his seed like it's his son, or it came from his seed like this person was somebody who got into the occult and ended up calling on Belial and this was his curse, right? There's different interpretations of that. Like, we've been diving deep into this shit, guys, and you're going to see soon.
I can't wait for this.
The final edit on that, too. And because
that's straight
it is
out
in
of
the public domain now,
Nosferatu,
you can do whatever you want with it.
Yeah.
Though that would be a pretty beastly horror movie. Bram Stoker's widow comes back to go after all the unauthorized Dracula movies.
And I don't know if he ever actually built a set of the ship or not. Did he? That I don't know. So I can't speak to that's legitimacy as far as the movie goes. But I do know that they were playing up the fact that they did go, you know, to all over these real places to film as part of the story here. This is a great scene here, too, where he just kills the fucking, would it be art director or whatever he is.
He's kind of
the
all
art guy.
Fucked up on schnapps and bat blood.
Yep. And here we get Carrie.
Yeah, who was in Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah.
And great here.
Now,
great in everything he does. I mean, Carrie Elwes.
I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, he's one of those actors that no matter what the movie is, he elevates. He's great, no matter what. Even if the movie's bad,
and
he's just one of those actors.
Pretty good in this, too, according to Anima.
Well, he's just one of those great actors. I mean, I didn't even realize he wasn't British until, like, way after Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Gary Elvis is British?
No, he's not.
No.
I thought he was until I realized he wasn't. I just thought, oh my God, he's not British. I thought he was because he's so good with it. You're right.
Mm.
And a lot of his parts he plays, he has British fucking accents all the time.
Well, he is from Westminster in real life. That's where he was born.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah, he's born in England.
There
and
you
it's
go.
It led to one of the funniest.
So it isn't just
lines
a joke.
That Robin Hood. The best part of that film, my favorite joke in there is, unlike some Robin Hoods, I actually have an English accent.
Well, the other funny part is him and Jim Carrey are good friends because for some reason, I can't remember how they even became friends, but they're like damn near the same height, same look, and all that kind of stuff. So they've been in, Jim Carrey has him in a bunch of his movies. Like obviously most prominently in Liar Liar. That's the joke in Liar Liar is that she went and married a guy that looks just like him.
By the way, I have 2 videos to run here. One for Tim.
By what name are you known?
There are some who call me
Tim.
No, now go away or I shall taunt you a second time.
I see you found the machine that goes ping.
And and one for our good friend Sax.
Hey, fuck you, Carl.
She turned me into
So
a
I
newt.
wanted to point out, Anima asked the question about this while we were watching it, because this story takes place in 1922, and this plane has the I forget the name of the cross. It starts with an M.
The Maltese cross.
The Maltese cross on it, instead of the Byzantium cross. And the Maltese cross is actually popular with German officers. But in 1918, they stopped using it officially in Germany. But this plane predates 1918. So, and that's why. But the
Well,
fact
he looks like
is,
somebody
is
who
like-
would have served at some point for a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So this
you
is
know
an
the Maltese
older
cross from the
plane.
Crusades. It's weird to see it on a plane.
Yeah.
That's why I was wondering.
But the Maltese cross was still adopted by Germans.
I think that's
for,
also
acts of
symbolic
heroism.
of him being one of the heroes in the film too. I think that's also
Well, that's just it, because the Maltese cross represents someone who protects.
He's basically Van Helsing, if you think about it,
Yeah, he is.
or the equivalent of
And-
that character is supposed
And
to
so
be.
it's perfect to have him represented by the Maltese cross, because the Maltese cross represents.
And if you notice, he's the only one who deals with all this stuff from a logical standpoint and doesn't overreact.
He's always calm. Even
Yeah,
when he
he's always
dies.
calm.
All the way until he gets his neck snapped.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, he was. He was in Kiss the Girls. He was the serial killer.
Yeah.
I like that movie, by the way, Kiss the Girls.
And it's
That was a
Tom
good-
Baker.
But not that Tom Baker. Come on.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
Just so you know, Martin, I butcher every language I speak, including English. Germany made all the right fashion decisions until, that one winter.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Fucking Zags.
Hi, Zax.
And now the leather and the dancing.
Oh, hi, Bush.
My favorite was the really bad German in Top Secret. She was just like, that what they just said, that's not even real. It's like, that's not German.
I hate it when American movies pretend to have German and it just doesn't make sense.
It's just not. It's like fake mock German.
I'm getting a brain tumor.
Oh, don't get me started.
Might as well
Don't
be the
get me
Swedish
started.
chef.
I
Yeah.
know, Martine, I know. We stopped it.
Okay, let me greet our friend. I love that video, man.
Me too. Hi, Bush. Good to see you.
And by the way, this is one of my favorites.
Hey, man, where are you, German?
Dude,
And Anima taught me
Kind
into
of,
doing
yeah.
that, so I do that just for Anima.
did you do any clips for this movie? Am
I did
writing
one, yes.
timestamps just out of nowhere?
This is all I
Why
can.
him, you monster? Why not?
Why him, you monster? So, and then I also made this clip, but it has nothing to do with this movie, because I just fucking love Malkovich.
Malkovich, Malkovich. Malkovich, Malkovich. Malkovich, Malkovich, Malkovich. Malkovich, Malkovich. Malkovich.
I like when he comes back through the portal after that and he says, "Shut that thing down for the love of God."
Destroy it.
Destroy it.
That is such a weird movie.
I know, but it was so good.
Friedrich tells me. He was around during the Renaissance.
I like how it said, have you read Plato? Read him. Knew him.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite parts of Beetlejuice is when he says, "I lived through the plague and I had so much fun." That's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that was pretty fun. I've seen The Exorcist 147 times, and it keeps getting funnier every single time I see it. Not to mention you're talking to a dead guy.
You know, ever since that new movie hit the theaters, there's a train with Beetlejuice theme all over the outside, and it's running on.
Oh,
my
over
line.
in Austria.
Just
Yeah,
like
she was
to
telling
work.
me.
Yeah,
She was
I
telling me
sent you a
there's
picture.
Beetlejuice everywhere.
Yeah, no, it's not everywhere, but it's on the one of the lines that are my first leg of my commute to work. I keep riding on a Beetlejuice line, and it's fun. It looks cool. It's a Fanta ad, basically, but it's for Beetlejuice, so it's cool.
Oh, I like his disgust face.
Yeah.
Honestly, maybe they did build this because I don't even know if you can even. Is there any shot? Well, yeah, there's about 2 or 3 shots. Never mind. I was gonna say in the movie that they actually filmed on the water.
Yeah,
there's a couple.
Just the boat.
There's a
There's
few
2 shots of the boat, and you don't see anybody on deck.
But you see the one where the first mate jumps off board, and then when they drop the dead guy in the water too.
Mm.
So that's what I was gonna say. There's at least a few. So yeah.
So here she comes. She's finally back on the set location. And Bush, you miss it because Tom brought it up that was somebody that Nicolas Cage wanted for this movie from the beginning.
And eventually Nick
It was pretty much
ended
written
playing
for him.
Dracula.
Yeah. Sorry, what'd you say?
That eventually Nick ended playing Dracula in Renfield.
And I love that movie, by the way.
Yes,
That's a fun movie.
Yes, it is.
Which movie?
Renfield.
Oh, Renfield.
With-
yes,
with
yes.
Nick Cage.
I love that movie. Yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, you got to give Nick Cage credit. You know, normally he'd be like, "Well, I'll play Nosferatu or I'll play Marno." No, he, got these great actors. He doesn't even do a cameo or anything like that. I mean, he promoted the hell out of the movie. I remember that, but yeah.
I love the recreating of scenes from the original Dracula. Just fucking great stuff, man. That was a fun movie. And you know what? Awkwafina didn't annoy me. She always annoys me. I did not get annoyed by her in that film. In fact, I can't stand her, but she didn't bother me.
I love to see how a silent movie was shot because the actor always hears the director giving like directions. You do this, you do that, you read, you notice, it's a lot of fun.
And you guys brought up something earlier. I don't remember all who brought it up, but I know Tom did, and I think maybe Stephen or Martin did, the overacting. And the overacting was actually part of what you had to do because there were silent films. So you had to be overly emphatic with your physical movement. And so all great silent film era actors were overactors. Oh, this is where he tries to choke him and he ends up laughing at him. And that's when he becomes terrified. When he realizes there's nothing he can do, that he it's just, look at that face right there. He knows he's in trouble.
Yeah.
And I don't know, what do you think, Tom? I think that's when he begins forming his plan.
Pretty much, because at that point he knows something's up, and I mean it's the only shot they have, really, because even he says in the scene, like he doesn't know if he can die or not, which kind of implies that in the 400 or 500 or whatever years he's been around, he's probably tried, because you get bored and you get depressed, I'm sure, after a while. Like I was saying earlier, there's only so long you could deal with certain things before you kind of just start to become like he did, as a recluse, and because you don't want to get too many.
Oh, don't mention recluse with Gerry, please.
Well, you don't want to, grow too many relationships because then those people are just going to die on you, or you got to whatever. Because like in this case, as far as he knows, he can't turn anybody into a vampire. That's just myth, right? So,
or at least as far as he knows, because he can't
Yeah.
remember everything.
He just got so used to just being there.
But
Stopping to
well,
be
and
there.
remember, in this movie, in the lore of this movie, he wasn't turned. He was created by Belial.
in the movie Nosferatu, yes. So
Yes.
like, and that's coming from the idea, and that's where I said I think they're kind of building the concept of this character as the more we've researched this and learned, is that they probably did look into some of this stuff as much as you could back then, and kind of got the ideas from there of like, like I said, I'm surprised that they lean more into Marneau as the one who had more to do with this than Albin, but my understanding is Albin was the one who was more influential on, the vampire stuff and how it worked and the rules. But, once you introduce that into this movie, it kind of takes you away from, the vampire actually being real, I guess. But it still works in that respect. But, I mean, just the idea of how they present the vampire here, I think is just kind of a very realistic kind of way, just like they did in Nosferatu. The way it made it feel is like, this isn't just some Hollywood made up bullshit, right? Like, this is reality. And in reality, you can't just turn people into a vampire. You become one through various other ways, obviously, or you're born that way.
Well, yeah, because like even in Bram Stoker's Dracula, because he sold his soul and rebuked the Catholic.
It's because he
Church, or the
denounced
Church of
God.
Christ.
Yeah,
he denounced God, and so that's when he became a vampire. Whereas then they throw in Dracula that he can make other vampires, which was kind of weird. That the way you make a vampire is you drink their blood, and then before they die, you have them drink your blood, which is also borrowed from or borrowed in Anne Rice's vampire lore.
That's what
That
I
they
know,
have to
yeah.
drink the blood of the vampire to become one.
Yeah.
Oh God, her fucking on morphine scene, just God, that is so trippy.
Well, they do imply that Marneau has his habits as well.
Oh no, they do not imply. They show him.
Yeah, I meant that facetiously.
Yeah. So there's another thing that I like in this film too, is because the character Max Schreck, Dafoe, that in the film he recited one of the poems by Tennyson in it, which is about a Greek immortal. And I thought it was very interesting that he would do that, showing that his character is well read.
Well, he's on up to date with the culture of the times. He knows even the actors and actresses that are popular.
Yeah, he knows she's a movie star, so he's fully aware. And by the way, did anybody else love the moment when he's looking into the lens of the projector and watching the movie
yes,
directly in his eye? I fucking love that, because it's something that's also implied in Interview with a Vampire, because he goes to see a movie, and for the first time in his vampire life, he's able to see a sunrise and not be killed by it or damaged.
See, yeah, and that's where I think Marneau gets the idea that might be the key, because even though he doesn't imply it could kill him, he does imply that he hasn't seen a sunrise.
Daylight.
It's
daylight,
even,
and
yeah.
that's what strikes me weird, because I thought sun was lethal to vampires. Daylight is fine as long as it's not the sun. But
It's
in this
direct
movie,
sunlight that's dangerous.
Well,
That's
and
right.
yeah, because like even in the one scene, I think it's still. Go ahead.
in this, you get the impression that it's daylight. Period. He's never seen day. He's a creature of the night, and that's so weird, because all the normal quote unquote vampire lore is as long as they're not in direct sunlight, they're fine. In the shadows with clouds, they're fine. This is just
I got to tell you,
he sees daylight for the first time, and it's weird.
I do want to point out to your statement,
Allegedly, that was a civil.
Fuck off.
a creature of the night.
You said that too when we watched it. That it's weird.
Gerry,
No, I'm not
meanwhile-
disagreeing with you. I was playing with you on that one.
No,
I,
don't
meanwhile,
play
am a
with me.
creature
Don't
of
you
the
play with
day.
me. I have a teddy bear ready to hit you.
Yeah, I've I can't say anything. I can't say anything. Never mind. I'm not supposed to say it. Tell anyone. So, this will be fun. This is a good scene. I don't know. Watching a slideshow kind of reminds me of that night when I got way too high one time, and somebody paused the movie Deuce Bigelow while I was sitting there baked out of my fucking mind. And it was like, I don't know how long we were sitting there, but after a minute I said, this is the longest fucking scene I have ever watched. Everybody cracked up laughing, and I was like, I think I was being
Oh my
serious
God.
when I said it. Like, is he gonna do anything? He's just in there. Yeah, I like that artwork. I wonder who drew that. Boy, this scene just keeps going. What's going on with this? Is it that long of a scene? With no subtitles?
Oh.
No subtitles at all. There we go.
Probably just
'Cause
happened
he's
to be
messed up
catching the
right now.
screenshots in between of them, I think.
Because he's high on morphine
Yes.
right now, as I recall, isn't he? Yeah.
Laudanum.
Laudanum. Same thing. It's just a derivative. Look at all the cruciforms on the wall. That was interesting. Because whatever you do, don't say crucifix in front of anima.
Why?
Say it, I dare you. When the
Crucifix.
cross is on the wall. There you go. Anima, get him. Get him,
I
Anima.
think she left.
What the fuck?
Just
I
because I said the
crucifix
word
other day.
crucifix.
I said crucifix the other day, and she's like, it's only a crucifix if the crucified Jesus is on it.
That's what it is. I'm sorry. 8 years in a
That's why I
Catholic
said, go
private
get him. He
school.
said it.
Fuck
He
you.
said it. Martin said it. Go get him.
I have moist spiders with me. So
Moist
keep your
spiders.
distance.
Eat shit. Go away. I've had a week in hell. Why do you do this to me? Why am I here? I could be in bed. Fuck you guys. No, seriously. It's only a crucifix when there's Jesus on it. So.
Oh.
Wait, what? In some versions of from Dracula, they cut out the sound of Renfield screaming as Dracula is killing him, thinking
What?
he double-crossed him.
That's weird.
Because I know Renfield yells, I didn't betray you, master. Oh my God. I swear to God, the lecherous look on Dafoe's face when he comes onto the set is so fucking amazing. And he's just walking around people and everybody's giving him a look like, what the fuck is his problem?
I'm turning on the charm.
We don't know. We don't want to know what you're turning on. I mean,
I am now turning off several things.
So one of the things that's alluded to during the years of those escaping Germany to flee the Third Reich, the growth of the Third Reich, was, you'll notice a lot of those people were notoriously part of the cabaret scene and part of the German film industry, were the ones who were fleeing. And it wasn't just those who were Jewish. There were other people fleeing because old Addie gets credit for killing so many of those Jewish. I almost said religion, not religion, but bloodline. But he was also a murderer of many gypsies, the mentally ill and handicapped, as well as gays.
Well, back then,
because they
basically
frowned on it, despite so many being in the Third Reich.
Everybody who had a name and was something either fled or made sure they weren't like either you were up the ladder with the empire and good, or you would fuck off.
Well, even if we were doing rocket science, Tom, we'd still be funny about it.
And we
I have a
have
friend. We have an in-house rocket scientist, an actual. He worked for NASA, John, whom I poke fun of. I mean, I've known this guy for a while now, and I poke fun of him all the time because he says nuclear instead of nuclear, and I'm like, what the fuck? You're an actual rocket scientist, and you say nuclear.
I love when he always takes his hat and says, "I'm showing that I am bold, so demonstrate that I am a real scientist."
Actual, because that was the thing I started with him. I said, because you're not really a rocket scientist unless you're bald, and that made him take the head off and go, see, and I went, that proof you're a rocket scientist.
He still says nuclear.
Oh my God. I miss
Don
it,
Ecker
yeah.
does too. Don says it all the time, and
Oh, yeah.
God, it irritates Anna and I so much. It's like so grating to our ears when somebody says nuclear. Oh, look at that face there. Oh,
I love the nose. That can't be real. That nose can't be real. It's a hook. It's not a
that's
nose.
interesting.
It's a beak.
Yeah, it's a beak.
He makes the mistake here of walking in front of the mirror, which of course he's not reflected in, and she starts freaking out,
losing her shit.
Oh yeah.
Yes, Bush, I totally would believe that. Okay, DJ.
The fucked up thing is they sedate her. Yeah.
Yep, give her some morphine.
Yeah. Is it morphine? I don't know.
The steak comes up, and that look on his face.
It's almost like my death scene. Ugh, all right, fine.
He knows it's his death scene. He just doesn't have it on his plan to actually die because he's been around. So
The thing that really sucks is Murnauer lets a bunch of things and people get killed before he finally, has the chain cut so the thing shuts and he gets cooked by the sun.
I mean, you've been around that long. Dying isn't on your agenda, right?
And that is, see that cutout background. That's actually exactly what it is in the original film.
Yes.
It's just
this set that they are using here is almost 1-to-1. It's a
Identical.
replica of the one in the movie.
Really?
Yes, I saw it. I saw it. Nosferatu last night, just to get a comparison between how closely they got, and some set not at all, and some sets nailed it. This is one of them in which they nailed it.
Cool.
However, that wasn't in Nosferatu, the vampire groping her.
Again, those nails. I'm sorry. They're so
Yeah, and
gross.
I'm just reading something again that it had to do with the arc lighting that was being used as to why there were those lenses
Okay.
to protect their eyes.
But why would they wear the goggles and the actors wouldn't?
Because they're looking right
What's the
at the lid
difference?
area. They're looking at it with all that white hot
Ah.
light.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah, few people are as good at losing his cool as Malkovich. Burn Notice is great, by the way. I'm not a fan of the movie, but Brad Pitt's death scene is one of the fucking most awesome scenes ever shot in a movie ever. That look on his face.
Oh, we have
Right before he
Scribelad
dies.
in our midst.
I
I
love
the
Jake-
character's age
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, George Soros is Count Orlok. Damn right.
or the Koch brothers.
So this is where he begins, and he's still filming. He's killing crew, cast and crew, and Murnau just keeps going, just going.
Well, at some point, I as I understand it, Murnau, he just lost it. He went crazy filming this scene because he keeps talking to the dead people and everything like they were alive.
This is like they're still there. He is Colonel Kurtz. The horror.
I thought
Look
he
at
did
that.
smell like
That is a
I know
creepy.
what?
Look at that expression as he's looking at him. God damn, I love this.
Yeah.
You could say this was rehearsal for Green Goblin.
Yeah, I would not argue with that at all. But really, if you think about it, every role he ever played was all rehearsal for Green Goblin. And
Or
in the
Green
original
Goblin.
film, Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, at the end of the film, she rises one time for not Harker, Hutter, for Hutter, and then she dies in his arms.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at that drunk. He is blood drunk right now.
Oh yeah.
Plus,
Oh,
there's heroin in her blood, you know.
Exactly. he's been drugged. Because the Morno wanted to drug him.
That's why the
so
mirror
that
was
it
there.
would come.
The mirror was there to trigger her so they could give her the drug in order to drug him. It's brilliant. And here comes the daylight. You in trouble now, motherfucker? Oh, we lost Tom. Did he have to go?
He didn't say anything. Could be
Yeah, I don't
connection
know.
issues.
And return it to its rightful place.
Oh,
There he is.
Tom's back. No, so in this movie, she wasn't planned to be killed. In fact, I think she's the one on the crew that survived.
Well, in real life, she survived. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not so
but in this-
sure that Marno in this movie was ever planning on necessarily sacrificing her wholly, but I don't think the plan worked out the way he had planned.
She was the
initially.
bait. She was the
Yeah,
bait.
she was the bait.
Yeah.
The thing is, the other two guys, they died. The producer and the cinematographer.
No one cares about the producer.
Yeah, I would have preferred if those two characters hadn't died in Shadow of the Vampire, so you can maintain the facade of plausible deniability.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, but it also just kind of solidifies the whole thing as fiction at the end of the day. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the end of Inglourious Bastard.
Yes,
Absolutely.
very much so. That's kind of what this is in the vein of, definitely. Yeah, in that sense.
Isabella Adjani is amazing. I think she's crazy too, but she's what an actress. That's all I got to say.
See, that's gone. He's gone at that point.
He is Colonel Kurtz, the horror.
Or in his case, it'd probably be
ran out of the 5 minutes ago. Yeah.
So I tried to reduce the size here, but it won't let me keep the circular ones, Tom. When I reduce the size, or that just on my end, that if I go to this right now, they're square, or are they still round to you guys?
No, they're square.
Square.
Yeah, see, it's weird. It won't let me do it. There, it will do it. So I'll keep it there because I love that back.
Hey, Stephen!
I am a huge fan of this film, and I really do. It breaks my heart I didn't get to see this in a movie theater. A lot of people didn't.
I'm trying to remember if I did or not, but it's been so long now.
And this will happen because what it is these independent films like this, they do a limited release because you cannot be nominated for certain awards unless you've been released in a theater. So they do a limited release and then go immediately for, physical media and Showtime and shit like that. And this, of course, really did well that way. And I assume because they didn't have a very big budget on this, as I recall, right?
On this movie, no, it was like $8 million.
Yeah, because it seems
which is
to me,
pretty
I
good for
remember
an
it was
indie feature,
$8 million.
but yeah.
And I'm going to check on the box office. It
11
pulled
or
in
12.
Yeah, it was 11.2 million. So it made its budget back for shooting, and it went into a little bit of the marketing, but they didn't really market this thing. I got to be honest with you, because I didn't know about this film, and just like you, I'm always watching for movies. It's when I don't see a movie, they didn't market it. Oh, good one, awesome one. Good one.
8 million, says Bush.
Give him a video.
Oh, we have like 3 backdoor videos pending.
Oh, go.
Oh,
What
I
are you
didn't want to
waiting for?
interrupt the panel, but yes, here we go.
Do it.
Let's-
Do it now.
I'll do it now.
Hey, Bandit, this is Little Beaver. Put your foot on the floor, we got your back door, and I'm cleared.
That's a 10-4.
That's one.
And by the way, oh, you gotta do more?
Yes, 2 more.
Go for it. Let's get it going.
What is this?
I think that's the best backdoor we've ever had.
Oh, that's the ultimate backdoor. I mean,
Oh.
the
I-
one
I-
where Grog gets the thing shoved up his ass was the ultimate backdoor, but this is, I don't know, close.
It's so in
Oh,
your
I-
face. One more, Martin. Let's go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fight
I
it.
thought you would
Go.
like this one more.
Go.
Holy shit. I just heard a symphony of buttholes clenching all at once.
No,
And by the way, I forgot we had this video, and Martin did this earlier when he said, "Don't get me started."
Don't get me started.
Don't even get me started.
Probably one of the worst SNL characters ever, but it still made me laugh. So, any last thoughts on this, Tom?
No, this is a great film. If you haven't had a chance to see it, do yourself a favor if you can find it. Unfortunately, it's not one of the easiest films to find, but yeah.
And there were, because I always thought there was only one copy left, because when Bram Stoker's widow sued
Well, I was
them,
talking about Shadow of the Vampire too, but yeah.
No, I'm talking about the original film Nosferatu. Because it was something that we started to talk about, we didn't finish talking about, is that
That's
sued
more
them.
readily available now than this movie we're talking about.
Well, I always thought there was only one copy, because I was told it was a New York Playhouse that had a copy.
There's a few,
but
yeah.
it was like multiple copies have been found in Europe and in the US. And because for a long time, all we knew about was that one copy, because I was told in film school that the only copy that you see, the version that everybody was seeing, was that copy. But there are more. And which version did you guys use for your soft announcement?
I'm sorry. We just kind of used a variation of. It's kind of our own version mixed with some other ones that are out there.
You got to be careful, because there are some of those guys. I had some Nosferatu footage in one of my videos, and we got claimed on it.
Really?
And because it was the cleaned up version. And I'm like, I'm never using that again. Because it was the cleaned up version, we got claimed on it. So you've got to watch out for those people, because they're all over YouTube. Yeah.
Why would you say it with that weird accent?
Because we're watching Shadow of the Vampire with Friedrich. And because it annoys you.
Yeah. Fuck off.
So it looks like Willem Dafoe is looking up at me now with deleted below me. Hi, Nosferatu.
Hello.
I need to go.
Yeah.
Good night, guys. I'm out. See you next week.
Yeah, it's getting on my time.
Yeah, we got to go. Let's get the hell out of here, guys. That was a fun show. It was fun talking about this movie and all the other movies we also brought up while talking about this movie. And the colored version of Nosferatu, I think, is just the one that they use, which is a filter color for scenes. It's like one solid color. Like Phantom of the Opera did the same thing, the original. So, but that's it, guys. And remember, Dracula is an atheist, and he's not affronted by the crucifix, but by you pushing your religion on him is why he has an aversion to it, just so you know, if you were unaware. So we're going to get the hell out. Tom, thanks for being here, buddy. Martin, Stephen, Shinatsky, and of course, Anima Confusa. So yeah, he's looking up my back door right now. It's pretty bad. Ending the show. We'll see you guys next bat time. Well, on Monday. So bye now. This episode is brought to you by Tom Connor's Dog. They aren't there unless they're barking.